Welcome to the Washington Pod. I'm your host, Zion Odom, and today I'm joined by my great co-host,
Noray Alston,
and our two guests,
Naomi Graham
and Akira Johnson. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
With our podcast, we will be going over what it takes to be successful in college. Today, we will all be discussing aspects of speech because we all know how important it is to make a good impression.
Recently, for our class, Principles of Speech, we had to write our own celebratory speeches. So this question's for everyone. How did it go for you?
For me, I feel like it went really well. I did go over the time a little bit, and I was struggling with the supporting aspects of my speech, but other than that, I think it went well.
For me, it was definitely a learning experience. I feel like I had to kind of put my fears to the side a little bit because I do have like a little bit of stage fright when it comes to public speaking. But once I navigated the process, became comfortable, and practiced a lot, it pretty much came natural for me.
I think my speech went well. I was definitely very nervous, and when I get nervous, I talk fast, as most do. But I really enjoyed the speech, especially with all of the tools we've been using in our books. But yeah, I think it went well.
I think I delivered my speech great. I came up with a scenario and I just kind of wrote my speech in a way that would fit the theme, which was a Forbes 30 Under 30 award ceremony, which meant I had to be like very clean and precise in my language. And I did hit the time requirement, which was good.
It's great. What are some things that you had to overcome when it came to your speech? Like I said, my whole nervous energy, fast talking. What about you guys?
Okay, so yeah, similar to you, Zion, from my experience, I definitely had to overcome my fear of stumbling over my words and feeling embarrassed or possibly making a mistake while speaking in front of a big group.
I would agree I had that struggle. And also with my topic itself, it was about my grandmother, who doesn't really like to talk about her past. So trying to get that information out of her was a struggle, but it's something we overcame.
Yeah, so I was kind of similar to you, Akira. I had to do research about my subject because I don't really know her personally, but it was a little challenging to find information about her journey to her success.
Okay, so today in our session, like we said earlier, we will be going over the things that made our speeches what they were. So Naomi, would you like to start us out?
Sure. Okay. So actually, a little like fun fact, I recently kind of shockingly found out that public speaking, well, it's of course in the top 5 of most common fears that people face, but it actually also received its own scientific name called glossophobia. But I recently, right? So recently I read a little into Speechcraft, and I found a few tips and tricks that we all can use to minimize our anxieties while giving a speech. So number 1 is knowing that this fear is completely normal and common, and most likely there are many other speakers who feel this same way. Number 2 is mental reframing. So converting your fears and anxieties into excitement. So as you feel this pressure accumulating, try to shift your mindset from scared or anxious to excited and ready. Number 3 is to prepare. Preparation can play a huge role in minimizing your speech anxiety. So if you've planned and well thought out what you'd like to say, there's not going to be much room for many mistakes that you're worried about making while presenting. And then also practice your speech a few times in front of an audience, so maybe a few friends or family members. And then lastly, number 4 is don't worry about the what ifs. Everything will be okay, and after the speech is over, you'll feel so much relief.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to glossophobia. It was strange because I used to be an actor, so yeah. So it was just like, oh, I can act on the stage. Why is this 20 by 30 room a little scarier? I think it's just because it's smaller and more intimate. Yes. Definitely.
And with that, the focus is entirely on you speaking versus the ensemble of everybody on stage.
Right.
Great point. Those were really great methods to help get over glossophobia. So do you think those helped you in your own speech?
I definitely think so. For me, specifically the preparation point, like preparing the speech well ahead of time, practicing it over and over, especially if this is like an assignment or this is a timed speech. It's really important that you practice using a timer to make sure that you're staying on track. So then it reduces the chances of you going on stage and then rushing through your speech or speaking too fast or getting cut off because your speech was too
So I
long.
want to touch on the importance of audience identification and how it can help you choose your speech, because you can't have a good speech, let alone any speech, without a solid topic. Firstly, you want to know your audience. Arguably, the most important aspect of public speaking is audience analysis. When you know who your audience is, you can accommodate to them by appealing to their interests, culture, or experiences. But you can only do this after gathering information about your audience. Formal audience analysis is using different tools such as surveys, interviews, and focus groups to gather information about your audience. I want to mention that gender and sexuality may be the hardest to prejudge by looking at a person, so you want to focus on not alienating anyone in your audience by being inclusive of all gender identities. Using language like they, them, their, or partner instead of husband or wife, or even addressing everyone instead of ladies and gentlemen. All right, so once you know your audience, you want to narrow down your topic. The purpose of your speech can be to inform, persuade, or celebrate. The purpose should reflect the occasion, topic, and audience. And to do this, you want to choose a topic that just fits right in the middle, which is not too simple that people get bored, but not too complicated that people don't understand what it is that you're talking about.
All right, so I really want to point out the importance of research, because without research, you in college will be a fraud. Point blank, period. So we need to discuss the ethics of automatic trust, because when you tell someone something, they don't really have a reason to not believe you. And this lack of discernment is pretty common in humans, we're not even gonna lie. But this is dangerous because the way misinformation spreads is a forest fire. So when you want to do your research, you have to go to libraries. You have to go get a library card. You have to see print media. You have to see digital media like online sources such as educational websites, especially because they will help you navigate through misinformation, and especially because they are peer reviewed. And peer reviewing is just saying, girl, we've already seen this. We know what they're talking about. And so that helps you build up knowledge. Don't forget, you need to cite your speeches. You need to cite everything. But in speeches, if you're getting caught plagiarizing, you will be in deep trouble. Like back in the day, Joe Biden ran for president in about the 70s, and he plagiarized somebody else's speech. And that caused him to drop out of the presidential campaign at the time. So always cite your sources.
Once you're doing your research, you need to have support and reasoning. And I feel like that's the part I struggled with the most. It's very important to make the audience feel included if you want to keep their attention. Facts, statistics, testimonies, examples, and stories are always one can support their speech. Let's start with stats and facts. Both are used to back up a belief, opinion, or claim. Facts are verifiable and they must be objectively true. Statistics are often pliable or biased. For example, Howard University was founded in 1867. Hampton was founded in 1868. Those are objective facts. Statistics-wise, you can use that to make comparisons. Howard University graduates 63% of its students, and Hampton graduates 55%. I could use these to support the claim that Howard University is the real HU.
You know.
Which isn't an objective fact, but we all know it's true. The Howard and Hampton example are great examples of examples. They're descriptive representation to clearly illustrate an idea. The last two supports are testimonies and stories. Testimonies share viewpoints and are evidence-based, but they can be a little biased. You can have an expert viewpoint, an everyday people viewpoint, and a personal experience speaker viewpoint. Stories, however, have a beginning, middle, and end, and they take the audience on a journey with the speaker using examples to make points and are typically a recollection of a past happening. Hopefully myself and these lovely ladies were able to help you write an A-level speech. And that is
That's all from the Washington Pod.
Bye.